Money King. Jojo struggled to regain his consciousness, the world around him a blurry mix of voices and flashing lights. People were asking if he was alive or dead, and slowly, he began to piece together his surroundings. He was in a hospital. Panic threatened to overwhelm him as the realization of his dire situation sank in. A nurse noticed that Jojo was awake and rushed over to check on him. She was joined by a doctor, their concerned faces filled with questions. Jojo's stomach growled audibly, and he mustered the energy to request something to eat. Thankfully, they provided him with a steaming bowl of porridge. Jojo devoured it in record time, surprising the medical staff with his appetite. The doctor and nurse, intrigued by Jojo's sudden recovery, administered pain relief medication and allowed him to rest. Hours passed, and as the day unfolded, the nurse returned to Jojo's bedside. She inquired about his emergency contact, but Jojo's response painted a lonely picture. He had no family or friends in the city, he was essentially on his own. Compassionately, the nurse left him to rest once more, recognizing the challenge he faced. Soon, the doctor arrived with both good and bad news. He informed Jojo that he had recovered and was ready to be discharged. However, the bill needed to be settled at the reception, and Jojo knew he had no money to cover it. Thinking quickly, Jojo looked at the doctor and said, "I will pay as soon as one of my family members arrives." It was a bold move, a desperate attempt to buy some time and figure out a solution to his predicament. The doctor nodded, unaware that Jojo's words were not entirely truthful. Jojo's plan to escape the hospital was a risky endeavor, but his desperation pushed him to take the chance. Waiting for the staff to be occupied, he changed from the hospital clothes into his own attire, hoping to blend in and sneak past security. With each step he took, he inched closer to freedom. As he approached the hospital gate, Jojo's heart sank when he spotted the nurse who had attended to him. She stood like a guardian between him and his escape route. Their eyes locked, and Jojo's desperation and pain were reflected in his gaze. To his astonishment, the nurse moved aside, silently granting him passage. It was an unexpected act of compassion that left Jojo humbled and grateful. Walking home, Jojo passed through a neighboring Porsche estate, where the stark contrast between his life and theirs was painfully evident. He watched young people of his age driving luxurious cars, enjoying the company of friends. He wished for the same, not just the material wealth but also the camaraderie he saw. Soon, he noticed a convoy of opulent cars entering an open grounds, and he guessed correctly that a wedding was taking place. Determined to change into more suitable attire, Jojo rushed home with the hope of joining the celebration. As he entered the slum area he called home, the stark contrast hit him once more. The clean, well-paved streets he had traversed were replaced by dirt and heaps of trash emitting a pungent odor. It was a reminder of the two vastly different worlds that coexisted in the same city. Just as he was about to open his door, his landlord confronted him, demanding 3 months' worth of overdue rent. Jojo resorted to sweet talking, explaining that he had returned to change clothes before running errands that would fetch him the rent money. The landlord remained skeptical but gave him a stern warning about locking him out of the house. Quickly changing into fresh clothes and grabbing a small bag for food, Jojo prepared to crash the wedding he had spotted earlier. It was a bold move, but Jojo was willing to seize any opportunity to change his circumstances and find the friends and life he had been yearning for in this city of stark contrasts. Jojo arrived at the wedding venue just in time for lunch, blending in with the guests as if he belonged there. Amidst the crowd, a beautiful lady in a red dress noticed him, realizing he hadn't been among the initial attendees. They queued together at the buffet, where Jojo was overwhelmed by the abundance of food, a stark contrast to his usual meals. The lady, Sheila, took notice of his confusion and graciously offered to help. Sheila's kindness and her willingness to engage Jojo in conversation were both surprising and heartwarming. As they talked, Jojo wondered why this stranger was showing him such compassion, especially when they had just met. They found themselves sitting together, away from the bustling crowd, and Jojo couldn't help but appreciate the genuine connection they were building. However, as Jojo strategized how to discreetly take some food with him for later, he realized he hadn't even asked for Sheila's name. She shared her name, and Jojo reciprocated, and their conversation continued to flow. As the evening progressed, Sheila explained why she was sitting alone with him. She felt like the black sheep in her family, always misunderstood by her relatives. Their camaraderie attracted the attention of some guests who couldn't help but gossip. As the night drew to a close and guests prepared to leave, Sheila expressed her desire to meet Jojo again. They decided they would reunite at the couple's baby gender reveal party in a few months, as announced by the MC. Sheila asked for Jojo's number, but he couldn't provide it, citing a recent robbery that had left him without a phone. However, when Jojo realized his bag of chicken had disappeared, his disappointment was evident. He told Sheila it was nothing, but she noticed his search. To his surprise, Sheila revealed that her aunt's mischievous chihuahua had stolen the bag and was happily munching away under the table. Sheila, empathizing with Jojo's situation, wrote her number on a shirt and told him to call when he could. She returned with another bag of food, leaving Jojo amazed at her kindness. A warm hug sealed their connection, and they went their separate ways. As Jojo returned home, he faced yet another obstacle. The key to his shanty house's padlock didn't seem to work, and frustration welled up inside him. The landlord, appearing like a persistent specter, reminded Jojo of his overdue rent. Jojo pleaded with the landlord, explaining that he had faced a rough day and hadn't received any payment. The landlord, seemingly unmoved, insisted that Jojo needed to pay for the night to get inside. With nothing but the food Sheila had given him, Jojo had to make a tough decision. The landlord suggested that Jojo hand over the food as payment for a week's rent. Reluctantly, Jojo handed it over, feeling the weight of his reality settling in once more. With a roof over his head. As he lay in his makeshift bed, Jojo looked at Sheila's number and felt a glimmer of hope. This story highlights the value of building genuine relationships and connections with others. Jojo's chance encounter with Sheila, a stranger who showed kindness, changed the trajectory of his day. In the world of entrepreneurship, building strong relationships and networks can open unexpected doors and opportunities. It's a reminder that sometimes, it's the people you meet and the connections you make that can make all the difference on your journey to success. See you in the next episode of Money King.